And welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is the production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 127 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from July 1st, 1994, taped June 7th, 1994, from the Loudon High School in Loudon, Tennessee. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Dick Slater to my Phil Rainey. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
I whatever. I'm
All
here.
right.
Just to leave it at that.
Oh, it's one of those days, huh? Um, all right. Well, I really don't have a whole lot to say about outside the world of this podcast, so at least for right
There's
now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's a world outside of this podcast.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I guess I've now just sent this down a rabbit hole because I just thought of something. So I posted the picture of Ernie Ladd with the North American title in the F4W chat, and Lance Storm responded saying that that title must be huge because he knows how big Ernie Ladd is. And I was like, yes, yes, it is. It is one tremendously large championship belt. And I told the story that I believe to be true, which of course means there's a 50-50 shot of it being a complete lie, but that the belt was made so poorly that it's impossible to be worn around somebody's waist because the side plates are too close to each other, so they all kind of jump on each other.
Well, maybe it looks like that would be a thing that could be true.
Yeah. So, anywho, with that out of its way, Jack Perry just put a knife through a $100 bill on Dynamite. I wish I had the kind of money that would allow me to just stick a knife through a $100 bill that appeared to be real, without any worries. Um, and I'm sure if it is real, probably was not Jack Perry's real money, or if it is, he's probably getting reimbursed for it. But still.
It's a
Um,
fucking tremendous podcast. You know that?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. This is how you can tell we taped it on Wednesday this week instead of Tuesday, because I'm just doing commentary on Dynamite instead of NXT. Because at least when I'm doing commentary on Dynamite, I actually know who the hell these people are. When we're watching NXT, I'm like, some people are doing some stuff.
Can you just call
Um,
me back when you're done and ready to talk about this fucking
I'm,
show?
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go to the intro with Bob and Les.
Welcome to another great hour of action on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. Hi, wrestling fans. Bob Caudle here with Les Thatcher. And again this week, we got an outstanding hour of action to send your way on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. By the way, Les, we're going to see a special videotape from Jim Cornette's union today. I look forward to seeing that.
I'm excited about that one myself. And speaking of his union, we're going to see the big Bruiser in action. And, of course, we're supposed to have a Legends update again, too.
All right, and what about a Beat the Champ?
That's right. Tracy Smothers has won 2 weeks. This will be week number 3 as the champion. And Tracy's got to win this one and 2 more, and he's the proud possessor of $5,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see, and Tracy will be squaring off in the Beat the Champ against James Adkins. That's today here on Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
All right, fans, that and a lot more during this hour, so stay right with us. It's going to be great. Let's go to the ring.
I love that Les Thatcher says we're going to have a Legends update, or he thinks we're going to have a Legends update, because that's the guy that does the fucking Legends updates isn't sure whether we're going to have it or not this week.
It's not his job to know what the hell is going on with his own segment.
At least we don't have another personality profile this week, or a surprise personality profile like it was last week.
You really, really hate the personality profile.
I really do. It's like it's the problem is because it does, follow Down and Dirty with Dutch, and Dutch was so great with those things that it's like, and this is, it might be unfair to Les because, like you said, Les had been doing this, for years before Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but like Les is not a good replacement for Dutch.
We
In pretty much
got
any,
just a We got just a little snippet of Dutch commentary on this episode on a VTR, and I
Yep.
miss him so much.
Yep. And I remember when you started on the show, and I was telling you how great Caudle and Dutch were, you weren't entirely in agreement because, Caudle was never really the greatest, and like Dutch, was whatever. But you watched it. They're great. They were great.
Okay,
Um,
I love Bob Caudle and I love Les Thatcher. It's with them as a team, it's two straight men.
yes, and we don't mean to say that Dutch is a homosexual or anything. Not that there's
No,
anything wrong
no,
with that,
no, that's
but
not.
yeah. And it's going to get better because JR is going to come in a few months. And even though JR is a straight guy, he's JR, you know.
Yeah,
But then when he leaves, it's going to hell. That's when we get Chip Kessler and Les Thatcher. And if nothing else, it's very different.
oh boy.
Um, so we go to the ring for our first match, which is Joe Kazana and Chris Hamrick versus the Rock and Roll Express with Bambi. There's a lot of audio to play. I had originally timestamped Tammy because Tammy joins the announce desk, but I'm just gonna skip that because there's a lot of audio to play this week. But basically, she calls Bambi a beast. She doesn't know why she's in this six-person tag match, and they want to humiliate the Rock and Roll Express. And I will say, Bambi may be a beast, but she's a very pretty beast. Yeah,
I thought Bambi was supposed to be adorable. Isn't that like the
I
whole
would
thing?
I would say so. I'm shocked they haven't made any sort of comment about shooting her mother or something. Or I guess they could say shooting her mother, but like, offing her mom or something.
Maybe they could threaten to shoot on her mom.
Ooh, there
Okay,
you go.
I just realized that can be taken two very different ways.
See, I was not going to say that. We are a very G-rated podcast, as you know, so we would never imply that sexual relations were being done, perhaps behind the scenes.
G
Now,
for fucking gnarly.
if someone were to do that, would you think it would be Candido or the Underfaker? Now, I'm not going to make any implications about Brian Lee or anything, but I mean, Chris Candido, by all accounts, never cheated on Tammy, even though, everybody and their mother could tell you what Tammy did behind Candido's back. So I think if either of them were going to shoot on Bambi's mom that way, it would probably be primetime Brian Lee.
I'm glad we were able to suss that out to everybody's satisfaction.
This is why we're the number one podcast of all time. Um, so to the shock of everybody, the Rock and Roll Express won this match with the double drop kick. Um, Towards the finish, Lee and Candido left the broadcast booth and grabbed Bambi so Tammy could hit her with her purse. As the match ended, they sprayed hairspray into Gibson's eyes. And I guess Dirty White Boy just got his sight back, so we got to go to another blind angle. But I guess it doesn't end up being a blind angle because Gibson comes out later in the show. But still. Tammy took the scissors and cut some of Ricky's hair, and Scott and Steve made the save. I don't know about you, but I feel like this should have been a much bigger deal than it was.
It
And I
was
think it
such a
has
big
to do.
deal
Mhm.
that when the Armstrongs made the save, Caudle misidentified them as the Thrill Seekers.
I didn't note that, but yeah, that is true. I think part of the reason why it wasn't as big of a deal as it could have been is that Ricky and Robert come out for the end of the show. And it's like it wasn't like the end of the show, and I'll spoil this for you now. The end of the show is a fired up babyface promo, and it's not being done by Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. And to me, I think and I get that you wanted babyfaces out there to stand strong at the end, but I think if you're going to do that, you either had to A, not have the Rock and Rolls out there, or B, save this angle for next week.
It
Because
was a weird
it's
segment anyway, because I was like, okay, it makes perfect sense that the Rock and Roll Express are going to come out here next, and then they didn't for like a while, to the point that I thought about it and I remembered like, oh yeah, it actually makes sense for them to not come out right now because of what happened earlier. And then after I thought that, they did in fact come out.
I mean, I would compare this to a Vince Russo segment, except Russo would have had them come out 5 minutes later. So at least there was an entire show in between the two. From here, we got a replay of the extreme enforcement of the rules match last week between Lance Storm and Mr. Well. And the Thrill Seekers have now joined Bob Caudle for a quick little promo here. Let's hear from Lance and Chris.
Are the Thrill Seekers, Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, Lance last week. That disqualification match. That was a raw deal you got.
That was a raw deal last week. I lost my temper and I lost the match. But that doesn't matter anymore because that man spit in my face and nobody spits in my face and gets away with it. So come Summer Blast, we got the penalty box matches. We're going to start breaking some rules. We said we didn't have to break the rules, and that's the truth. But we didn't say we aren't going to break the rules. Because come Summer Blast, we might start breaking some rules. Isn't that right, Chris?
You know, Lance, that's exactly right. Let me tell you something, Mr. Caudle. Well done. You've been complaining the whole time that the Thrill Seekers have been breaking rules. Well, now you got your chance. If we break the rules, we're sitting in the penalty box. We're sitting in the sin bin. But if you guys break the rules, you're going in the same place. But you know what? We might just break a couple rules just to get a chance to get our hands on you. I don't mind spending time in the penalty box. Because it's like Lance said, we've always said the Thrill Seekers don't have to break the rules, and we haven't. But that doesn't mean we won't break the rules. So you guys think about that.
All right, fans, it's coming up at Summer Blast right now. Let's watch these.
Okay, so Jericho saved this promo to some extent here because Lance is basically like, oh, you want to break some rules? We're going to break some rules on the penalty box match. And I'm like, if you break the rules, then you go in the penalty box. But the penalty box match is always like a weird concept because we talked about this in World Class. It's like, it's not a no disqualification match, but disqualifications don't end the match.
You know? Yeah. Well, so Well Done played themselves. By falsely accusing the Thrill Seekers of breaking rules, they have created a situation where the Thrill Seekers breaking rules is to some degree not only allowed, but expected.
Yes. It's like that Batista promo before Hell in a Cell. Weapons are not only encouraged, they're allowed. He got his line backwards. So yeah, like Jericho kind of put it, his way. It's like, yeah, we'll break them. We won't mind sitting in the penalty box because, we'll take it to the Well Done. We'll break some rules here and there. And we're never going to get an explanation ever for this match, but I still want to know. I want the loophole closed. I want to know what happens if both members of one team are in the box at one time. And I know we'll never get that explanation, no matter what territory we watch, who does this match. Everyone will just ignore that part because, wrestling's real, except we're never going to do that.
Oh.
I actually think it could lead to a cute spot here where it's like, okay, Stephen Dunn is in the penalty box and his minute or whatever is counting down. Timothy Well breaks the rules, and so he's got to go to the penalty box. So the referee's now going to count them out. And now it's like, oh my God, is Mr. Well going to get out of the penalty box in time to get back in the ring to break the count out? And I think if you're going to do a fuck finish, I think it'd be a great way to do a fuck finish in that.
They should just do like a double count out because everybody's in the penalty box.
I think Jericho said it was a penalty table. The power of the table compelled you not to move. And I think, and I don't know what they did in Knoxville or wherever else it was, but in Marietta, they actually got a minor league hockey player to come be the enforcer of the box, which I would say is always a good, spot for an athlete because, like, it's an easy payday for them, and B, they got, this is a legitimate tough guy here in this sport full of fake tough guys. They'll make sure that no one violates the sanctity of the penalty table.
You can't violate the penalty table.
Yes. So then we got a music video for the Thrill Seekers, but don't get your hopes up. This was not a Thrill Seekers music video, TM. This was A Thrill Seekers music video.
It was the one set to Top of the World by Van Halen.
Was it a replay? I didn't even really notice that.
Yeah.
All right. So our next match was El Hijo del Santo. And I had to make sure I checked Cage Match just to double check because Brian Matthews did not pull a drunk Mark Lawrence and still announce the opponent's name regardless. It was in fact Bruiser Bedlam.
It was in fact Bruiser Bedlam.
Yep. I did you have to look that up just to make sure too, or did you get that?
That Bruiser Bedlam was the opponent? I figured that out.
Okay, cool. So Bedlam won with the stomach claw.
Yes, he did.
I spent far more time coming up with that joke than this match lasted.
I didn't even get the joke.
Well, the joke was like all those times they have matches on Smoky Mountain where they don't announce the opponents, or they cut out the announcement of the opponents, and so sometimes we have to look it up. And so since Brian Matthews didn't have time to introduce Bruiser Bedlam, the joke was I had to spend my time looking up who El Hijo del Santo's opponent was here. It was a hilarious joke, made even funnier by the fact that I had to explain it. So from here,
okay,
go ahead.
The funniest part of all of it was you explaining a joke to me that wasn't that funny. Like it was.
It really wasn't. It just, but I was committed to the bit, God damn it.
That's what I appreciate about you.
Thank you. Is that what you appreciate about me? So we had to cut the Tammy Fytch stuff for time because instead of listening to Tammy Fytch talk about Bambi, we're going to listen to Jim Cornette and FITE do some training in preparation for the upcoming matches that they've got during Summer Blast. Let's go to JC right now.
As you can see, I'm here dressed for a street fight, dressed for some union work. Not in my normal clothes because I've got a message to send out to anybody that wants to join the union called FITE, the Federation of International Thugs and Eliminators. Only the strong need apply because only the strong survive. The two chief enforcers, leg breakers, and muscle men of my union, Killer Kyle and Bruiser Bedlam, are going to be here in just a moment as we're here at this abandoned factory complex because this is the kind of place that makes them feel at home, especially Bruiser Bedlam from all the work he's done on the docks. Wait a minute. Here they are now in the union truck. Come on down here, guys. We're going to show a few people today a few things about how powerful and how strong you need to be in Jim Cornette's union. The first feat of strength that Bruiser Bedlam is going to perform, he's going to put 5 big, strong men in this cart that you see behind me, and he's going to pull it all the way across the parking lot. And just in case you don't know how much that they weigh, well, we're going to ask him right now. Come on in here. How much do you weigh?
277 pounds.
277 pounds. Come on, don't be bashful. You're on television. Don't be scared. How much?
220 pounds.
Come on in.
240 pounds.
Come on in. How much do you weigh? Don't lie now.
205.
205. Come on, you now.
263.
263, as you can see, 5 men, well over 250 pounds apiece, and Bruiser Bedlam is going to do it right now, baby. There you see Bruiser Bedlam, over 1,250 pounds of men, a 500-pound cart. That's almost 1 ton that Bruiser Bedlam can drag across the ground like a sack of flour. Now, what would a union be without a leg breaker, without an enforcer, without a muscle man? And that's Killer Kyle. And just to show that he's stronger than not only 1 man, 2 men, 3 men, but 4 men, he's going to have a tug-of-war with 4 full-grown men. And once Killer Kyle gets planted to one spot, they're not going to be able to budge him. They're going to have 30 seconds to try their best, but they're not going to be able to get the job done. Okay, ready, set, go! Come on, Killer. You've got it, baby. Think about the union. You're the enforcer, man. FITE! The Federation of International Thugs and Eliminators. More powerful than 4 men is Killer Kyle, the enforcer of the union. And I can't wait for somebody to try to cross that picket line. Come on, you pansies. Come on, you sissies. Pull. You've only got a few seconds left. You got to make it good, because anybody that wants to get in the ring with Killer Kyle or any member of the union is going to make it good. Time, that's it. 4 men couldn't get the job done. You know, Bruiser Bedlam's had a lot of experience dealing with all the auto workers up there in Detroit where he's from. The Ford plant, the Chevrolet plant. No Toyotas, no Mitsubishis for the Bruiser. This is a Chevrolet truck, a Union truck, a FITE truck. And Bruiser Bedlam's going to show you the power that he's got, not only in his arms, but in his legs as well, because he's going to stop this roaring racing engine. 60 miles an hour. Killer Kyle's going to floor that thing, but it's not going anywhere because Bruiser Bedlam is stronger than a pickup truck. You're going to find that out right now. Okay, boys, give it the gas. Bruiser Bedlam's legs, the power contained within, are so strong that even a Chevrolet pickup truck cannot crush him, cannot put him down, cannot destroy him. Look at the smoke from the tires. Give it all she's got, Kyle. Come on, baby. Look at that tire spin. Come on. Go. Oh. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Stop. That's enough. You'll blow the motor up.
That I got to tell you, we've seen this gimmick before. I remember when WWE did with Mark Henry, where basically he puts his back against his wall, his feet on the front of the car, and they drive the car. And you know, in this case, Bruiser Bedlam held it back. And you know, in case you thought, well, this was gimmick, they just added some noises in post-production. They're not good enough to add in the actual smoke coming off the tires. Like, they were legitimately driving this thing into Bruiser Bedlam. And Bruiser was legitimately holding it back.
I would watch a sitcom of Bruiser Bedlam and Killer Kyle just driving around in their shitty little truck, busting up scabs and strike breakers.
That would be a tremendous reality show. Too bad this was years. I guess the Real World was around at this time, but like no one. But that was the first reality show, but it wasn't really the start of the reality show revolution, kind of in like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, that would have been great. By the way, did you go back and actually add up all the weights of all the guys who came in?
No.
1,205 pounds, because I'm that person.
You sure are.
Now, I did have to call shenanigans on a few of these, because like the first guy said he was like 270, and like every person who came after him weighed less, but they were all fatter. Like the one guy said he was 205. It's like he had a stomach bigger than mine. You know?
He did, but he was smaller. He was softer, but he was smaller. Like the first guy, that first one was a big boy. The one that said he was 270, whatever. Like he was big, thick boy.
Yeah. At first I was kind of laughing at this because, like, okay, so Bruiser Bedlam is preparing for a match by pulling 1,200 pounds. And I don't know, having a truck drive into your legs for 10, 15 seconds is much better. But at least that I thought was, I don't want to say the first one wasn't impressive, but I was far more impressed by the second one.
Well, surely if you have that kind of leg power, you can kick out of anything.
And you can certainly kick Tracy Smothers' ass.
If you can pull however many pounds worth of guys, you can pull Tracy Smothers wherever you want them.
Hopefully, anyway. And then Killer Kyle did a tug of war against 4 of them. I couldn't tell you, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't really a shoot, but yeah, it was, it was probably a good like 900 of the 1,205 pounds, 950 or so.
Yeah.
But I like this. I always like goofy stuff like this. They actually pitched it as a Jim Cornette training video. I'm like, well, what the hell is Jim Cornette training for?
No, this was terrific.
Yes. We didn't get anything from the Funks, but it's all good. When you have this, you don't need Terry and Dory Funk every week.
Yeah. Good.
So after the training video, we went back into the arena where FITE was standing by to cut a quick promo here.
All right, fans, you just saw him up there in the ring and along with the enforcer. I don't know, do we call you now the Jimmy Hoffa of professional wrestling.
That's exactly right, only I ain't gonna disappear. There's a lot of people that want me to go away, but I ain't gonna do it. I keep going and going just like that Energizer Bunny. And when I got two big brutes like this standing in front of me, Killer Kyle and Bruiser Bedlam, just like the front line of a football team, brother, I'm gonna stay here for a long time to come. You see that punk in the ring right there? He failed his union application. He don't get to be a part of FITE, the Federation of International Thugs and Eliminators, because we're forming the most powerful union in wrestling, and only the best need apply. The Funk Brothers, Bruiser Bedlam, Killer Kyle, the Enforcer, the Leg Breaker. And let me say this to everybody. If you want to call in, if you want to write, if you want to get on the bandwagon of a winner, if you want to join the union, you're going to have to be rough and you're going to have to be tough, because we only accept the best. The Armstrongs need not apply. No, 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 they don't. Especially that creaky old bullet.
Are
Tracy,
you looking for just strong men like these guys?
just big, strong,
big,
mean ones, Bob Caudle. Tracy Smothers, you need not apply, boy, because you are going down at the hands of Bruiser Bedlam. You have seen that they're indestructible, that they're as powerful as they can possibly be. Now comes the time for my brain to lead them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. The union called FITE will do exactly that. We'll fight anybody, and we will be on top of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Armstrong, I couldn't take the commissionership away from you, so I'm going to take the whole thing out from under you, and I'm going to rule it with an iron fist.
Okay. Question. So Tracy Smothers and Bullet Bob are not allowed to join this union. What if they want to pay dues? Are they going to turn down dues just to hold to a stance that, nope, we can't have Tracy and Bullet Bob in here? Plus, doesn't it make the union stronger if more people are involved?
Well, this is who they're unionizing against.
Well, I guess, unionizing against Bullet Bob because, that's management. But, in theory, Tracy should be allowed to join if he wanted to.
No, he's a goon working for management.
That's true. That's true. Who knows? We'll see. We know that Tracy becomes a thug, and do thugs really work for management?
The thugs work for whoever pays them.
That's true. So from here, we get our Night of the Legends update. And a few weeks ago, they announced that Ronnie Garvin and the Mongolian Stomper would have a Legends tag team match as part of Night of the Legends. And this week, they announced one of the opponents would be the one and only Dick Slater. I say the one and only as if there's like 50 or 60 of them running around. But Dick Slater will be one of the opponents. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know this for a fact, I have to go back and look at the match listings again. I'm pretty sure his opponent was Bob Orton. Or not his opponent, his partner is Bob Orton. But they didn't announce that here yet. I think they're going to announce that next week.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, they did mention that Slater had been in a tag team with Bob Orton. Does Bob Caudle do commentary for the Night of Legends? Do you remember?
I believe JR does. I just saw that.
I think
JR
you're
is
right.
being brought in. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. That I won't get to hear my favorite Bob Caudle line about Dick Slater.
What's your favorite Bob Caudle line about Dick Slater?
Dick Slater will fight a buzzsaw and give it the first 2 rounds. That was always his Dick Slater line in the 80s.
That is a great line. Let's see here. They said that Phil Rainey will be there. I mean, I think Phil Rainey's at like all these damn shows. As will Doug Furness. And I had to laugh and I had to write that notably Glub will not be there.
Poor Glub.
Yes. Then we saw, I'm laughing at something I just saw on TV. Then we saw some Doug Furness footage from the early days of Smoky Mountain when he was here in those first 10 or so episodes, commentated by Caudle and Dutch. This is what Trae was talking about earlier. And he won a match with a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
Then in perhaps like, I got nothing against this guy. I should not make fun of him or anything. But then they showed perhaps the worst part of the show, which was a video package on Nelson Royal.
Oh.
And nothing against Nelson Royal, but if him and Horner had done a combo shoot interview, that would be the cure for insomnia.
I knew
Um,
that. Did you know that Nelson Royal had a Western store in wherever the fuck North Carolina?
I did not know that. Did you?
I did because I read the book, the Nick Bourne book, The Big Gold Belt. That has it's a very very detailed like history of the Big Gold Belt, like the one.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever Nelson Royal was like for whatever reason was the person that the jeweler in Nevada sent the belt to his Western store in North Carolina, and then he found like somebody local who did the original brown leather strap.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
So Nelson
I,
Royal somehow was the conduit that got the big gold belt to the NWA.
I was actually going to ask in a second, like, what the hell does Nelson Royal have to do with the big gold belt? He held a smaller gold belt. But by the way, at one point they showed a still picture of Nelson Royal, and I was half convinced that it was video, just because, like, it's Nelson Royal. He's not a very excitable young man. Um, from here we get a replay of the Snake Roberts Dirty White Boy situation from last week, and then Dirty White Boy shows up, and he's got some talking to do with Bob Caudle.
Man right here who may be doing what I don't think anybody else has ever been able to do. Jake the Snake says nobody can compare with him with mind games, but I think, White Boy, you got him confused.
You can see in the snake's eyes that he is confused. Yeah. You know, the snake is used to being the cat instead of the mouse. But now, Jake, it seems to be maybe you're the mouse and I'm the cat. Because, there's a lot of things been going on in my life. My eyes are 100% better now. The dirty white girl is getting a lot better. She can almost look me in the eye now. And I'm almost got my self-esteem back because, Jake, you took it from me. You took part of my manhood from me. It's like you reached down and jerked my soul out. But in summer blast, Jake the Snake, in a cage, you can't call your little Jap friend down to bring the snake to you. You can't slide and slither out of the ring anytime you want to. Because if you try to slither out, there's a steel cage there. So, brother, there's no way that you can escape me. And I'm going to prove to the people that I deserve to be the Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion once again. And Jake, I'm going to treat you like you've treated me and my wife. I'm going to pull your soul right out of you. I'm going to take your self-respect and stomp on it.
Fans, it's going to take place at Summer Blast, and it's going to...
Lita jerked Edge off the ladder.
That was funnier than this promo.
Yes. This was a very serious promo. No one was jerking anybody off the ladder here. And I made the joke because he said white girl can look him in the eye now. I'm like, well, he does have two good eyes now. It is possible, because we don't know this, but it's possible that white girl was looking him in the eye before, but it was his bad eye.
I don't like the quiet, subdued, dirty white boy.
I think we've been getting too much of it. Like, it's one thing for like that one, you son of a bitch, you put out my woman, you blinded me, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass promo. But he's basically been doing these now for over a month.
Yeah, been enough.
I don't want to spoil anything for you here, Trae, for on this 31-year-old wrestling show that we already know what I'm going to say, but Jake's kind of gone already. Jake no-showed the 3 Summer Blast events this weekend, and we'll see because next week is still from this TV taping, so we'll find out in about 2 weeks what the future of the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight title is.
So we don't know if the Dirty White Boy has won the title in Bluefield, West Virginia yet.
We do not know that yet. But we do know that Dirty White Boy has defeated Bruiser Bedlam in 2 different cage matches and Jim Cornette in a 3rd one.
I would
Apparently
never do this as a booker, but it would be very entertaining to like the towns, the random towns that people would pick for like phantom title changes. Like that's like the only reason that most wrestling fans know Rio de Janeiro is a city in Brazil.
I'd like to think some of them could have figured that one out even without Pat Patterson and Buddy Rogers' trips to South America, but sure.
Is the Shane Douglas won, air quotes, won the ECW heavyweight title from Tito Santana in Roanoke, Virginia.
I don't remember where they said, but yeah. Poor Chico. He wins the title and never comes back to do the JOB.
I think there was an actual U.S. title change. Did Michael Hayes? Michael Hayes either won or lost the U.S. title in Bluefield, West Virginia in 1989, I think.
He would have lost it because he won it at Wrestle War Music City Showdown.
Okay, so he lost it to Luger, probably.
Yeah, he beat Luger and lost it like a couple weeks later. And it was so fast that like what the hell was the point of it? Because it's like Wrestle War was the beginning of May, and that's when Hayes won the title. But then Hayes and Garvin were the fake birds that won the tag titles in June in the tournament. And so in the middle of that, Hayes lost the belt back to Luger because the clash was also when Luger turned on Steamboat.
So
anyway,
they hadn't decided to do any of that yet, and then had to hurriedly make changes.
More or less. It's kind of like, if you went back to like July, August of 87, and like where the Starrcade card is, and it's like the championships and the feuds are nowhere near what they are for Starrcade, and like in like a 2-week period, like 4 titles changed hands because like they had to get everybody in what ended up being the right position.
Yeah. That's...
So what were you gonna say you were gonna do if you had a promotion?
Was this way earlier? I don't remember. I remember thinking that I would do a penalty box match and then in a double count out.
No, we were talking about phantom title changes, and you said if I had a promotion, then we start talking about Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, I was thinking I would not do that as a booker, but it's fun to think about.
I know at this point who the hell would know or care, but I legitimately want a wrestling promotion to run a legitimate show in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and have a title change and then come on TV next week, like a house show in Rio de Janeiro. Do a title change and come on TV next week and say, yeah, we had a title change in Rio de Janeiro last week. And it's like, really? I guess it doesn't. You couldn't really work it that way since it's with the internet age. Everybody knows everything as soon as it happens. But for me, it would be funny. Like have Mercedes Moné win her 23rd championship in a local indie in Rio de Janeiro. I'm sure there is one.
There you go. That'd be cool.
At this point, I wrote down what the hell is the main event of this show. Because we're 29 minutes into the show, and Tracy Smothers versus James Adkins is not a main event. But then we go to our main event, which is Tracy Smothers versus James Adkins for the Beat the Champ TV title. A golden opportunity for James Adkins here today. Bob Caudle says that Tracy does not know the meaning of the word quit. And how rude of Bob Caudle to question Tracy Smothers' intelligence like that. I bet Tracy knows the meaning of the word quit.
Well, he carries a Confederate flag. Of course he knows the meaning of the word quit.
Oh, Lord. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, Lord. All right. So we're getting ready for the TV title match when James Adkins is about to have to give up his golden opportunity.
Hey, Killer Kyle James Adkins! Boy, your work papers aren't in order. I don't think that you're getting a proper pension plan and you don't have your paid vacation. So as the leader of the union, I'm telling you to get your butt out there and get on strike. I want to see you on that picket line. If you know what's good for you, you're going to get out there and get on strike. Get out there and carry that sign, boy.
Wait a minute.
Smothers,
what exactly is going on?
If you want to face somebody, why don't you face the enforcer? You take on Killer Kyle. He's ready to do some damage.
We didn't draw his name out of the hat.
If you're scared, say you're scared.
No,
if you're a mouse, squeak.
Okay. Now, Trae, I got to ask you this. As a man and, sometimes confident in your abilities, let's say this was you. You were James Adkins, and you think you're a reasonably tough guy. You think you're a good wrestler, and Jim Cornette comes out and orders you to the back and to give up your spot towards Killer Kyle. Now, even if in the back of your mind you're like, I could take Killer Kyle, do you still give up the match knowing that if you do in fact get past Killer Kyle, you then have to now wrestle a fresh Tracy Smothers? Or do you just say, you know what, there's only 20 people in this territory, I'm sure I'll get picked again?
You don't want to be a scab.
But isn't he only a scab if he joins the union?
No! You're a scab if you go against the union. How do you not know any of this?
I'm sorry, I'm not part of a union. But also, if that's the case, there's only 5 people, include Cornette, in the fucking union. So shouldn't we be doing this for every match?
James Adkins is in the union. He went on strike when the union rep told him to.
Who's in the union?
James Adkins.
Well,
he wouldn't have gone on strike if he wasn't a part of the union.
See, I didn't look at it as he was going on strike. I just looked at it like he decided to live to fight another day. Well, I guess we'll see next week if James Adkins. Yes, well, he doesn't have his papers and he doesn't, whatnot. But it's like he didn't get out willingly. He got out because Killer Kyle came in and, physically threatened him.
Physically threatened him to do the right thing and not be a scab.
Well, we now have Tracy Smothers versus Killer Kyle with Jim Cornette and Bruiser Bedlam for the TV title. A golden opportunity for Killer Kyle here today. Cornette jabbed Tracy with the racket, and Mark Curtis assumes something happened. But, as my most famous friend, Aubrey Edwards, once told me, you can't make assumptions as a referee. If you don't see something, even if it's highly likely that obviously something happened, if you don't see it, you can't call it. Tracy put on a small package, but unfortunately for Tracy, and I know Jim Cornette would never, ever violate the rules or encourage the violating of the rules, but at that point, Jim Cornette thought it was very important that he showed Mark Curtis what the other side of the building looked like. He got up on the apron and was like, hey, look, Mark, look at that wall over there. Isn't that a nice looking wall? And Mark, I think at one point, shoved him off the apron. But Tracy did win with a schoolboy, but Kyle, whether he was supposed to or not, actually grabbed the ropes in between the 1 and the 2 count. But he let go because that wasn't the finish, and got pinned. Bedlam runs in for the post-match attack. The Job Squad tried to make the save, but Kyle knocked them all down. For some reason, I think it's because it's summer '94. I was thinking about the cage match at SummerSlam with Brett and Owen, where Neidhart was beating up all the Hart brothers who tried to get into the cage afterwards. Um, and Anyway, finally, Scott and Steve hit the ring, followed by Candido, the Underfaker, and I wrote and many more. I don't know who the hell else came out. I guess the Rock and Rolls came out. Finally, Bullet Bob came in and started punching the wrestlers. The commissioner should not be allowed to attack the wrestlers, I said. Finally, Bruiser and Kyle grabbed Bullet Bob for Cornette to thwack him with the racket, and then Corny put on the brass knucks to KO and bust open poor Bullet Bob. Oh, at this point, the Rock and Roll ran in. Bullet Bob, that coward, walked away from a fight. Robert Gibson is not having his best day because after being blinded earlier, he's now getting thwacked by Cornette. And Bullet Bob returned with the Tennessee Toothpick to run everybody out. And the Tennessee Toothpick is his cute name for his baseball bat, in case you forget.
Poor Robert Gibson has been beaten up by Jim Cornette twice this week, 10 years apart.
Poor Jim Cornette. I swear, he's listening to the show on the Temporal Ham radio. That's how he knows to do all this. And at this point, you can't prove me otherwise. And if I ever meet Jim Cornette again, and I can't imagine I will because he doesn't do any autograph signings anymore, I will ask how he likes our show. Although maybe he doesn't know he still likes the show, or maybe he doesn't remember it because he would have been watching it, or listening to it in 1994 in order to book this program the way he does.
Well, he remembers all that shit.
I mean, he remembers, bashing in Casey O'Connor's car windows, but listening to a podcast in 1994, may not have made the memory bank. So I thought this was a fun little Battle Royal angle. I was a little surprised because normally they save the Battle Royal for the last taping, and we still have one more to go. So hopefully next week isn't just like one of those, we got 3 nothing happening matches and 50 promos to play next week kind of shows that they do sometimes. But I thought it was a good angle,
Yeah, that was my takeaway as well, that this was a good angle.
And how do you turn a good angle into a great angle? By giving a microphone to a bloodied, fired up Bullet Bob Armstrong. Let's go to the Bullet to end this week's program.
All right, we're in the ring with Bob, before I go up, you and I go way back, but tell me, hasn't this thing gotten a little out of hand? I mean, this is a bit much, Bob.
I'll tell you this much, Cornette says he's got a lust for power. Well, I got power in that right arm with a Tennessee toothpick on the end of it. Now, he's talking about a union. I've heard all night I got a lust for power, I want a union. Well, you can forget Armstrong's Army because tonight, right here, we are going to form the People's Union. For the people, by the people, and with all the people you see around you. They want violence, they got violence, because this right arm may go ballistic, brother. Target being your nose, Cornette. We have had enough. Enough is enough. And I'm going to grant you your wish. I'm going to step down. I'm going to quit right now. I will not be commissioner anymore because I'm going to be where I belong, right in this square circle. I know exactly what I'm saying. And I'm going to tell you what. Call your mama and tell you she'll rue the day that she united with the jackal and you were born, brother. Because you will never, never forget this day, because me and this Tennessee toothpick and everybody you see me have had it to the hilt. We've had it up to the neck from on, brother. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and by God, I mean it with every fiber of my being from now on, brother. It's eye, tooth, and anything you want from now on.
And there you have it. We're out of time. You've heard from Bob Armstrong. And this next week, don't forget another Legends update, the function, action, and more. Join us on Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Okay. So we've said this a few times. We need to get that time machine done so we can go back in time and basically see Night of the Legends. Because spoiler alert, Bull Bob's not going to be wrestling at Summer Blast. But that was a money promo.
So Cornette wins because he got what he wanted. Because Bullet stepped down as commissioner.
Be careful what you wish for, people, because you might just get it. And I I gotta tell you, this was a hell of a fucking promo. And I know this is fake, but if I'm Jim Cornette, I am not standing behind that curtain when Bullet Bob comes back. Because that motherfucker looked like he was gonna whoop somebody's ass.
Yeah, this was great.
That was fucking great. And I should concentrate on this, enjoy what we have, and not worry about the future. But I'm trying to remember how Bob gets the commissionership back because I know he becomes commissioner again. Spoiler alert.
The hell you say?
I know, right? And it's like, in many ways, it almost feels like it was a waste of that whole 6 months that we had a Bullet Bob trying to get back the commissionership, and then just to give it up here. But I don't know at this point. I guess enough time has passed and we had a hardcore enough of an angle and we had weeks and weeks and months of Cornette being a dick. And it's like, finally, the guy fucking snapped. And I'm sure Cornette will come out crowing next week. But again, it's be careful what you wish for.
Indeed.
It feels like, the whole point is because Cornette wanted him to wrestle at, Night of the Legends. But considering one of the issues that we're going to get into next year is that they really keep going back to this Cornette versus Bullet Bob one too many times, that it felt way too early to go back to it at this point.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Go back in time and tell Jim, hey, this Bullet Bob thing, I know you wanted to wrestle at Night of Legends, but can you come up with a different way to go about it?
There could have been some loophole about it, a Legends match or something.
Yep. But we're gonna have some good shit coming up the next few weeks. I must tell you that. And the Gangsters are on their way in finally. And a lot of them have been waiting for this ever since the Heavenly Bodies left. Because as much as I enjoy Well Done more than Trae does, Well Done is not a good replacement for the Heavenly Bodies. And in many ways, they lucked out when Stan left. They found like the perfect replacement for Stan, but like lightning did not strike twice here. They did not find a perfect replacement for Stan and Tom.
So Jimmy Del Rey is better than Mr. Well or Mr. Dunn.
I would say at the very least, character-wise, he's far superior. I think in-ring wise, it's probably, a coin flip. But as a character, Jimmy Del Rey, far superior.
I think Jimmy Del Rey's pokes both of those guys in the ring.
I can't say I was never not impressed by Jimmy Del Rey in the ring. I just don't I don't look him in like that upper echelon of even like Smoky Mountain workers. But it's like, each their own.
I guess the act just works so perfectly.
Yeah. Like I guess I shouldn't think this way, but like I can't imagine Jimmy Del Rey on his own. I know he did do some things and he was on Nitro for a little bit. But it's like it's hard to really picture him on his own.
Jimmy Del Rey is perfect at working like Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey should work.
Yes. And in fact, him on Nitro was so far off from Jimmy Del Rey that like it wasn't until years later that I realized that was Jimmy Del Rey.
Wow.
But so yeah, we're getting another union. We're getting the People's Union. For the people, by the people.
Who do they think the other union is for and by? Are Jim Cornette and Bruiser, Bedlam, and Killer Kyle not people?
They're not for the people. They're for themselves. who are people, just, for the people implies, all the good working, hardworking citizens in the Smoky Mountain region.
Okay,
Whereas
I
Jim
don't have the I don't have the energy to discuss this anymore.
Okay, so 127 down, 73 to go. And hey, whole we got the whole part of this done in less than an hour. See, it's possible, people. And now I just have to tell you what else happened in wrestling, and we'll call it a day.
What else happened in
So,
wrestling?
so jury selection was held in the steroid trial for Vince McMahon on July 5th, and the trial officially began on July 6th. Now, despite what you may have heard over the past 30 years, Jerry McDevitt was not terribly impressive with his opening statement. However, Vince's other attorney, Laura Bervetti, apparently would have earned an Academy Award with her opening statement if this were a movie. Apparently, it was a very good Academy Award.
Nice.
And I should have written down his name. I forget it, but the guy on behalf of the state, he was announcing all the things he was going to approve, and one of them was that Rick Rude was going to come in and say that he was told in 1990 when he was getting off the juice so he could have children with his wife, he was told he had to immediately get back on the juice. That's one of the things that he claims is going to be said during this trial. So, in sad news, longtime WWF referee Joey Marella was killed in a car crash on the night of July 4th, following a WWF TV taping in Ocean City, Maryland. Now, of course, he is the son of Gorilla Monsoon. And, this being the WWF, the way they would tape TV, he's going to be all over TV for the next month. Because they taped 3 days of TV, and he, of course, would be all over it. And he fell asleep, and he got into a crash at approximately 2:55 a.m. while driving he and Harvey Whippleman to a hotel near the Newark, New Jersey airport. Whippleman, who had been wearing a seatbelt, survived and only had cuts and bruises. And I didn't reread this part, but I'm assuming, by the way, Dave wrote that Joey Marella was not wearing his seatbelt. And it really is like a bit of a crapshoot because you'll hear stories, obviously, of people who don't wear their seatbelt and die. And then you hear stories about people who wore their seatbelt, and because they wore their seatbelt, they died. Because if they weren't, they would have flown through the window or whatever and had more of a chance of surviving. But
okay,
but
that assumes that the people who were trapped by the seatbelt would have survived the crash without the seatbelt.
It's a catch-22. It's really impossible to tell. Like Joey Marella could have been wearing a seatbelt and still died. But yeah, it's like, and it's weird that for a long time there was this July 4th wrestler's curse where stuff was always happening on and around July 4th like this. So that's when Adrian Adonis died. I remember I think in 97 it was when they had that car crash that Sid and Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn were in. And it was like for some reason there's always something happening in wrestling on July 4th and not in a good way either.
By the way, it is the official position of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Along project that you should wear your seatbelt.
Yes. It's not only the law, but it's also a good idea. Plus, I had somebody in my car yesterday, we were driving somewhere, and he didn't have it on at first, and that annoying dinging started, and I was like,
yeah.
I was ready to snap at her to tell her to put it on, and then she did. So I'm like, just the dinging would drive me crazy.
Yeah, my car does the same thing, so it's not optional.
No. So the aforementioned July 3rd WWF TV tapings featured the Bob Backlund heel turn. Is in case you forget, they booked Bob Backlund in his first WWF title match since he lost the title in 1983. He got a near fall up a small package against Bret Hart. He celebrated like he won the match, but he didn't, and then went and lost the match. He turned heel on Bret and applied the crossface chicken wing on him. And of all the weird random heel turns we've ever seen in wrestling, this was one that worked.
Yes. This Bob Backlund character was great.
Yeah. And the irony, of course, was that this was just weeks after the WWF started their new generation video packages and commercials. And so now we're going to move, once we get out of Bret versus Owen, Bret's next feud is going to be with a man older than he is. And Bret wasn't exactly super young himself. I think he was like 37, which isn't old, but still, like, he was barely younger than Hogan at that point. And, I guess technically still is. So from what I recall, and I haven't watched that match in a while, but that Bret Backlund match on Superstars was a hell of a match.
I don't know that I've ever seen it, but the one at Survivor Series, I think, is kind of divisive, but I think that match is fucking tremendous.
Oh, so do I. I loved that match as a kid, and I haven't watched it in a little bit. I'm gonna have to watch it soon, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it still as a 41-year-old.
Yeah, that's great.
I actually love that Survivor Series, and I guess, you could point to a lot of stupid things that they do, like having the entire Shawn and Diesel team be counted out. But, I liked that whole show. Even Chuck Norris kicking Jeff Jarrett in the mush.
I was gonna bring that up if you didn't.
Yes. I just thought it was perfect because, like, they bring in Chuck Norris to be the guest enforcer of the casket match, and like King Kong Bundy comes down and like he's threatening Chuck Norris but standing feet away, and then somebody else did it too, some other big guy, maybe Bigelow, and then Jeff Jarrett storms down. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna beat up Chuck Norris. I'm gonna go beat up the Undertaker," and then Chuck Norris kicks him in the face.
So what you're telling me is that Jeff Jarrett has more balls than King Kong Bundy and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes, I am. And because the way they shot it, I'm sure Chuck Norris didn't really kick Jarrett right in the face, but the way they shot it, you'd have no idea.
Chuck Norris roundhouse kick was the move of the 90s.
Yeah. And I was also convinced that Yokozuna was going to win because while that was going on, IRS came from out of the crowd and put the Undertaker in a sleeper hold. And I mean, nobody gets out of the sleeper hold, And so I was like, okay, well, that's it for that. But nope, Undertaker came back and won.
Well, you can't put somebody down with a blood choke when their blood doesn't pump.
That's true. That is true. What was I thinking of? Oh yeah, that was like at the time, like, every time someone lost a casket match, they were off TV for months. And so Yokozuna would now be off TV until WrestleMania. I think like that stopped when like Mabel lost because like Mabel was on TV like the next night.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. So I guess that's gonna be about it. Anything else you want to mention?
No. Yeah. I don't have that much going on. What have you got going on?
You think there's not a lot going on? So I got my big interview at work tomorrow.
Oh, right on.
Or later today as people are listening to this. So send all those good vibes and positive thoughts my way. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to get the job. However, at the end of the day, they're still going to interview me. And so even if all this is a good experience to figure out where they are and going from there, great. Um, but I'm hopeful to get it. It'll be a nice little pay bump, and it's a job that like I know I can do. Whether or not I can convince the guy doing the hiring of it, we'll see. And the thing I know is it's going to be a fast turnaround because the woman who's leaving, her last class starts in a few weeks, and they're going to want people, they're going to want whoever is chosen, they're going to want them to be in the class, you know, learning the job basically on that last class.
Well,
Um,
it's, at least you're making the effort, and the listener and I both wish you well.
Thank you. And I know all my heels out there are wishing me good luck as well. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week's here program. Want to thank everyone for listening. Hey, we got it done in 68 minutes. I don't hear anyone bitching about that. Um, Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.